Looking for tips from a great photographer? You're going to enjoy this. So can you tell us what do you do?
We are a photography studio, and we're kind of what you'd call a full-service studio. So we do events, we do portraits, we do some commercial, not a lot of commercial, but some. My mom was a photographer, and she started the studio. I worked with her for a little while and then bought her out. And her dad, my grandfather, opened the first custom photo lab in the city of Houston. So it kind of has been in my blood. But yes, we mostly focus on the portraits and events, and it's a lot of, kind of hence the name Natural Expressions. A lot of it is, our background was outdoor, nature, that kind of thing. So that's what a lot of our stuff is, especially on the portrait side.
So can you tell us about the different changes of technology and how does that affect you?
Well, the biggie obviously is digital. When I came in, it was still film. And then I transitioned to digital. I think, there's a lot of extremely talented photographers that are out there now. What digital has done, though, is it's also lowered the barrier to entry dramatically. When you had a big tripod and a medium or large format, a Hasselblad or a Mamiya and a light meter, people would walk by and they would go, wow, that's a professional photographer. Now, if you have an interest and you can buy a digital camera, there's a wide range, and there's a lot of people who are professionals or possibly call themselves professionals that use any number of different digital cameras. And I think that's been the biggest. Digital is wonderful because it's opened up a lot of creativity in this industry, but it has, I think the stats were, and the easiest thing is to go into events if you're new to it all. So you basically get the camera, and I think at one point a couple of years ago the statistics were for every one full service photographer there were 65 event only photographers.
So can you give us some tips for brides out there?
I think the most important thing for me, and it's you need to, again, kind of harping back to what I said before, pick someone that you really enjoy and that you're comfortable with. But you want to do your research. It's really more find someone that you're comfortable with, but also do the research that allows you to determine. Everyone can put up an all-star group of 25 photos. So what you want to do is go in and meet with them, look at possibly entire weddings that they've done, see if you're able to kind of look at that and look at a lot of their work, because this is probably overstating it. I don't mean for it to sound this bad, but people can bluff their way through with a few photos, and it's easier with digital. Has made it easier to bluff your way through events.
So since there's so many photographers out there, what makes you different?
Again, there's a lot of very, very talented people out there, and I think if you're choosing a photographer, you have to choose someone based on their ability. That's why you're hiring them. But I think a very, very close second is, and by virtue of what we do for a living, which is to hold a camera right in front of someone's face, you need to like your photographer a lot.
Right.
And you build up, you probably spend more time with your photographer than you do with any other vendor, because and the time is personal. In other words, it's most people are a little bit uncomfortable with a camera in their face, and we have to have the ability to put them at ease.
So why should people choose you?
Well, I think they should choose whoever they think is best. But I think, in addition, obviously you choose who you think is talented the most, and choose someone that you get along with. But I think for us, it's just the way I was brought up, the way I have always wanted to do business. I don't want to make everything I can in a wedding. I want a client for 15, 20, 30 years. And I have actually, this is going to date me a little bit, I've actually had someone that I photographed in school age, then I photographed her senior high school photos, and then I photographed her wedding, and then I've now started photographing her children. And it needs to be a win-win. It's nothing if it's not that. And I think that's one of the attitudes that we go in. For example, at the Bridal Extravaganza, a lot of people have signed a day and get, show specials, and we have a show special, but you don't have to sign that day to get it. And I'll tell people, listen, that's a horrible way to start your relationship. Pressure should never be the case, and I would rather do less weddings and make sure that everyone who works with us wants to work with us. And I think that's the key, is let people make their decision. Choose who you want to choose. But you know what? In the case of like a show special, I just tell them, let us know you saw us at the show, and this is what you get. And if we lose a few that way, that's okay, But I want those people that have chosen to work with us, not been pressured to work with us.
Now, do you have any tips for a good event?
My biggest tip, and I say this to every bride, it's and groom. Although I know from experience we are not quite as important. That being said, I always tell them it's your day. There's going to be a lot of people with their hands on that day, but it's your day. It's kind of like my philosophy when I was in school taking tests. I always took tests fairly well because the day of I would become very relaxed because I knew that I couldn't do anything more. I'm going to get the grade I'm going to get, but I can't do anything more now, and that always relaxed me. And for a bride, I think, what? By that day, just have fun. There's nothing you can do now to change it. The planning has been done. Sometimes the things that go off script are the most memorable and the most fun things. And hopefully, as a photographer, I capture that.
So how can brides reach you?
Well, we do have a phone number. I know most people text these days, but our phone number is 713-665-7140. Our email address is NAT, so short for natural, NAT expressions @sbcglobal.net.
Thanks for watching. This is Marianne with Bridal Extravaganza TV.